Avoid these mistakes at all costs. Honestly, watch this video and learn from somebody who had to learn the hard way. What's going on? Spencer Lyon here. For those that don't know, in 2012 I started my very own clothing brand called Gully Garms. And last year, sadly, I had to close it due to COVID, Brexit, life. Now, I opened it up again this year alongside coming to YouTube and trying to bring value to you guys about what I've learned in the last 12 years and more importantly, helping and encourage you to start your reselling secondhand vintage-esque kind of journey. And today's video, we're gonna look at mistakes I made in business. For those that will know, anybody that is a business person, entrepreneur that I say in inverted commas, FYI, people call you an entrepreneur. You don't call yourself one. It's one of those little like unspoken things. As people of that background, of that ego towards business, of that approach towards what their abilities are, it's very hard for us to accept that we've made mistakes, learn failures, things that we go, I did that and that wasn't the right move. And I've got a few that I want to share with you today. I don't regret anything that I did along the way in the business, and there was a lot of things that I could have done better, but the journey I had was unique to me and led me to this point that I am now. And I'm grateful for where I am now. So I would never want to change anything that's happened before in case it affected that. However, with business and the decisions I made, I got a few that I think you might like to hear. Now, the first one, friends. I know on some of these videos, guys, I'm gonna come and it's gonna look like I'm holding on to some residual feelings about things. It is just because I'm very passionate about what I've devoted most of my working life, all my working life, but most of my life too. And that's been to a passionate goal of building a brand that I didn't know I wanted to build. And employing friends was something I did out of the time of, like I said in a previous video, I just started to expand with a business and I needed people to help me. I never really thought meticulously about employing people that were useful for the job. I just knew the people that I had around me, I liked having around me, thought, yeah, you guys can stay and I'll pay you to do some actual stuff for me. But the reason why employing friends was one of the biggest mistakes I made is because I built a brand off a personal feeling, off emotions, and I didn't really execute employing people that were useful for the job. Most of the time, I'm relatively introverted and stay in my own sort of presence. So even at that point then, I wouldn't have felt like going out and seeking to find a job for people because at that moment, I was happy with my little habitat that I had. I just wanted to sell clothes. I wanted to grow that. And I wanted the people that I talked to all the time about it to be there and help me out. But that wasn't great for the way the business model ensued and how it grew. Now, when you grow a brand with friends that are around you, there's a lot of different emotions that you realize that you are gonna have to handle. You might say jealousy, you might say healthy competition with just being friends and being successful. Remember, if you employ your friends and you're more successful than your friends, they're probably gonna have a different perspective about you, even if they don't believe that you're doing better. There's this just very strange underlying presence with things. When you employ somebody for a job, you can be a friend, you can smile, you can have a coffee and a catch up, but realistically, there's a job at hand that needs doing, and that's what you've employed them for. And that's what I did with friends as well. However, the comfortability of having people that you like around, if you never set that cemented thing up at the start, it's very difficult to bring it back later on down the line. I.e., you can't all of a sudden just wake up after 3 years of being a personal boss and go, today's the day I'm gonna be Alan Sugar. You're fired, you're fired, you're fired. You can, but then you will get unfair dismissal, tribunals, and all the rest of it. So it's one of those situations that has happened, but I'm just bringing it here to the surface. Employing friends. I wouldn't have personally done that looking back, and that is probably a mistake that I made in business, was employing people based on emotions, employing people based on a personal feel, and not for an actual purpose of a job that I needed to fulfill. My second biggest mistake, or I would say weakness to having people around me, was that my intentions changed pretty much every week. I'll be totally honest with you guys, my mind is very autistic in a nature that I think about a lot of things very constantly, very cohesively. There was even a point at Gully Garms, we had 10,000 products in this warehouse that's behind me, and I could pull out an item that was on a rail, tell you who was modeling it and what pose they were doing it on the computer before I even showed you on the computer. And that was how deep I was into understanding exactly everything that was going on and what I was doing. But as a result of that depth that I had, my intentions and the sort of change each week I'd be going to the people working here, scrap that, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this, this is how we're doing it. Because every day, every week, I was learning new ways to adhere, to benefit, and to build better processes. But the issue when you have a lot of people around who maybe don't get that approach is that they feel like they're stuck in a tumble dryer and they don't know when they're getting out. Oh my God, there's so many different moving parts. And for me, it's the mind that I have that I know which way I'm going, and I just need people to get that to go there. But one of the mistakes, or one of the flawed parts of it, is that because it was my brand and my process, I was the guy that said exactly where it was going and what it was doing, and I made the decisions and the calls, and I changed things constantly because in my mind, things were changing and I had to be aware of all the things that were changing. When I look at mistakes though, mistakes imply that I would go back and do something differently, and I wouldn't actually go back, build a brand, and have lots of people employed. As much as that would be great, I could be here today with a brand that's in a big warehouse and I could be telling you all this stuff, but if that was for me, I would have done that in the first place, and it wasn't for me, so I don't think that's where I was intending to go. I think overall, maybe mistakes that I'd learned along the way was not understanding people well enough that worked for me. I think that even though I employed friends and I employed people that were friends of friends, or they were just very comfortable people, I could have taken the time more to understand the people and the process in order to home them better with the jobs that they'd done, rather than filling people in seats, bums on seats and bums on computers listing products online. Again, guys, at this time, 21, 22 years old, running a business that's making a whole lot of money and thinking, holy shit, why am I even doing this? How have I got to this point? I started from a bedroom and now I'm here. I don't really call them mistakes though. They're just learnt failures, and I'm just get to look at something I did and I get to learn from what it is that I did. I can take something positive from it and embellish it and move on. So guys, all I'll say is if you're in a situation where you're like, how do I avoid mistakes? How do I avoid certain things? You just don't run before you can walk. You understand exactly the team you want to have around you. If you're employing a friend, you need to understand that friend better than that friend understands you, and you need to just be with the right leverage. And if I'm just being totally honest, don't employ partners, don't employ friends, just employ people who feel like they fit the job at the right time. Keep your friends for friendship and keep your workmates for working. And maybe understand the longevity of a plan that you want to create. Where do you see yourself going? Where is the actual route? I'm not a big fan, obviously, of creating 5-year plans and creating all these structures, because we might not be here in 5 years. But what I think is good to do is to see where the blueprint of where you're trying to go is, and you can then relay back to make sure that you are actually online with that. Now, guys, as always, stay safe, stay sustainable, stay flipping, doing the hustle, keeping the grind. Don't employ your friends, employ people that are useful. Anyway, enough waffle. Guys, if you want to join the Patreon, £4.50 a month, 3 videos where it's strategies, social media plans, some theory and practical, and all that good stuff. And I'm just on there doing that. But if not, I'm here every day, 6:30 p.m. with a new video of some mindful business, sustainable fashion kind of talks. Big love, and I'll catch you later.